if you used to study your Bible every morning, then you took this job and now you can't study your Bible, and you're wondering why it's all. The studying the Bible is the important part.
Right.
The work was like secondary to that, and once you lost that, then everything else changes.
So then, with that being said, how do you gauge your success? Because one thing that me and Candace have been talking about, and we had just got into it, is we just want to get to the point, and I hate saying the point because I don't think there's ever the point. We want to get to the point to where it's like we don't have to, go pick up our groceries, or, of course we have to order them and do all that, but we want to get to the point to where everything's just taken care of, to where we can really focus in on what we really want to accomplish, or what God has assigned us to do, and eventually what He's called us to do. And like I would say 100% of that comes from seeing how you're arrayed, just like how Solomon was. Being able to see that, how everything's set up and set in order. And it's like there's so many things where we want to get to a position to where, I'll put it this way. Anytime anybody asks me how I gain success or anything like that, I never really give them a natural answer. I just say I just want to be in a position so I'm available to do what you ask me to do or what God is telling me to do. And I think it's just really about, for me, availability. Because, and one thing I've told Candace and I've told other people too is I don't have all the answers. But if I can get around someone or have access to someone who does, then it doesn't matter the amount of money I make. It doesn't matter any of these things, as long as, and I don't say this in order to say it as in I'm just trying to get by, but if my family's happy, if they're fed, we're fed, we're eating the food that we want to eat, we're living in the house we want to live in, we're driving what we want to drive, everything's met as far as that. As long as we can be available to do what God is telling us to do, I feel like that's my gauge of success.
That's it.
And it's really just nothing missing, nothing broken.
That's it. And a lot of people think it's other things. A lot of people think it's how many digits you got in your bank account. They think it's, related to how much money you have, what stuff you have. No, for me, and you have to understand, this is why you prosper the way you do, is God is looking for people who are available. So for example, Jesus is getting ready for Passover, and He tells them, I want you to go find the man with the pitcher in his hand. When you find him, he's going to lead you back to a great house. He says, in the great house, he goes, you tell them we need a use of their upper room, and they're going to give it to us. He already knew what was going to happen. Everybody wants to find a man with the pitcher in his hand. They're always looking for the come up, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody who's got the pitcher in his hand. There are very few people who want to be the man with the pitcher in his hand. And what people don't understand is when you desire to be available for kingdom usage, God's like, okay, that one right there, I can funnel. Because remember, the Bible says, he who waters is himself watered, right? So when you become a conduit for the things of God, if He can get it through you, He can get it to you. Everybody doesn't have that desire. They're always like, me, 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 me. They want my stuff. They want me. They want what I can get. They want to do it right now. And it's like, no, you got to be available. And those who are available, God does more with, because they're like, okay, I can't affect my will on earth without people who are available.
Yeah.
It's that simple. And when you become available, like you said, how do I define success? I'm available. How do I define success for me? Is I can go and do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And more importantly, when God tells me to do things. For example, when we go minister at churches, I never make a big stink about what they're going to give or not give. It's not even a discussion for me. If God tells me to go minister and the church has 2 people in it, I'll go. And I'll preach like there's thousands. It doesn't matter to me. Because if He sent me, He's going to take care of it. Yeah. And what it has done is given me the liberty to not have to be bound by the purse strings of what can you afford. One of the things the Lord told me to do a long time ago, He said, take my family. That means it's not 1 ticket anymore, it's 3 tickets. It's not 1 hotel room, it's more than 1. I mean, there's different expenses that we have. And He's told me never make it a point to bring that up to a church. Whatever they give you is what they give you. And He always takes care of the difference. See, now what that does for me is it keeps me from being motivated by the money, because it doesn't matter. I'm already taken care of. Before I even got on the plane, I'm already paid. So it doesn't even matter. Now I'm going to be a supply and to be a help. And it just gives me a greater degree of freedom, which I attribute to my spiritual father, Reverend Ricky, and my spiritual mother, Pastor Sally. They taught me a lot of these things that I understand today because I watch them.
Right.
When they go places, there's never an issue. If God told them to go, they're going to go.
Yeah.
And I've watched them go places that they've been disrespected at, right? I mean, literally disrespected, and still go back because God told them to, and at their own expense and the whole yard. So it's, I think to me, like you said, how do I know that I'm successful, so to speak? I know because the supply is always there. I know because, not that I don't have problems and challenges, we all have those, but every challenge we have answers and we have solutions. And to me, that's the greatest success you could possibly have, because everything, is going to be a problem somewhere. So everybody fights something. Everybody has to struggle somewhere. But when you actually know that you've got an answer, when you know you got somebody who's going to resolve that for you and is going to help you and give you, it don't get no better than that. You know what I mean? And so then when you look at having a full supply and knowing that your needs are met and knowing that you can do the things that you want to do as well as the things you need to do, it's a blessed life. Yeah. And, I don't take it for granted, not 1 minute, because it's God-given. And when it's God-given and I'm willing to serve him and do what he's asked me to do, go where he's asked me to go, say what he asked me to say, it's available. Yeah. And availability, I'm telling you, is the key. Most people, the reason why they don't prosper is they're not available. Yeah. God couldn't use you if he wanted to. It's like, he's got things he wants you to do. You can't, some people can't even serve in their local church. Right. But you want to prosper. You want to be a millionaire. You can't tithe. Right. But you want to be a millionaire. If you become a millionaire, you're tithe. It's like, no, if you can't, listen, when you go to write that check and you start putting all them zeros on it, and you ain't used to writing 1 0, it's going to hit you the wrong way. You're going to be like, maybe I'll cut this back. God's not going to bless you if you can't be useful for him, because that's what it's all about. It's Israel was given certain tasks, and it was to bring us the word, bring the Messiah, represent the life worth living, that the world will become jealous and want their God. And if you look throughout the Bible, you'll see they did it in cycles. It's always a cycle. And then when they always started doing well, then they forgot about God and it went away. And they went into bondage. And then they worked their way out, they started believing God, God would prosper them, and they would do the same thing. You look at believers today, it's the exact same cycle. Yeah. They forget all about the fact that it's God. He is the one who makes it happen. And if he is the one who, that's why the blessing of the Lord maketh rich. And one translation says, hard work adds nothing to it. You can't take away from it, you can't add to it. As long as you do what God's asked you to do, you're going to prosper.
One thing that I wanted to mention is when I first started coming to StonePoint, which obviously you're the head pastor of StonePoint, just in case anybody wants to know.
StonePoint Community Church.
Yeah.
SCC.church.
I had received the Lest the Lord Build a House CD, and I mean, can I tell you, I listen to it. It's in my truck. I keep it in my truck because obviously the Tesla doesn't have a CD thing. But I've been listening to this like every single time I'm driving. And like I can almost say it word for word the whole sermon. But there's so many things in there that have like helped me out so much as far as like realizing that it's God doing it. Because there's so many things that you say in that sermon to where it just points to forgetting that the natural thing. Because if you build it in the natural, one thing I've always feared, especially in the beginning, and I'm using that word feared very loosely, is that I don't want to get off into building my own thing, because I know that one day, because my desire is to follow God, if that's not it, it's going to get brought down. So I think the biggest thing isn't figuring out how to better, like we said in even the beginning, not figure it out naturally, how to be healthy naturally or gain prosperity naturally, but figure out, how do I hear God better? How do I make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Right. And that's just the one thing that every single day I'm figuring out, is this even worth doing, or is this what I should be doing?
I think everybody struggles with that. I think one of the problems you will have to face is the same problem I have to face. As we are type A personalities, we tend to want to be driving, so to speak, and patience is a premium at that point. You have to be careful to always be patient and allow things to unfold. I think for me, I'd say probably 10 years ago, one of my biggest challenges was patience and seeing things not in what's going to happen 2 days from now, but what's going to happen a year from now, what's going to happen 6 years from now, what's going to happen 10 years from now. And I think now I am more, especially with having a child and just being married and where we are in our life today, I'm now more 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. I think that's the biggest challenge you probably will face, and any young person faces, is really extending your view.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And being patient enough to know that the plans don't happen every day. They might happen yearly. They might happen, 5 years. And being comfortable where you are, knowing that you're in the will of God, and then letting that be okay.
Yeah.
You follow me? Because again, when you're a type A personality, you're used to being able to drive. It's like, okay, now that I got here, what do we do? And a lot of things with God is waiting. It's patience. It's time. It's understanding the seasons we're in. That's why when the Bible refers to God as a wheel within a wheel, we have to understand, and this speaks to the whole prosperity thing, but we have to understand God is not limited to time we are. And so when God moves, he doesn't move by time, he moves by eternity. So think about that for a second. If your prosperity comes out of eternity, then how do you limit it to time?
Okay.
So then whatever we do in time, how does that change the prosperity we receive when it's eternal? And vice versa, your growth and development, if you, God forbid something happened to us today, if we're in the middle of doing what God told us to do, it's just as if we did it.
Yeah.
And so having that ability to kind of calm ourselves down and just go, you know what, we're taking it one step at a time, right? We don't know how long this step's going to take, but we just wait. And knowing that God, if it's time to move, he'll tell us. If it's time to do this, he'll tell us. And going through that process, I think, is the biggest thing. Because like you said, unless you build a house, those that labor, unless the Lord build a house, those who labor build it in vain. I don't want things to be vanity.
Yeah.
I don't want to know that I've lived my entire life and none of this mattered.
Yeah.
I want to know that all the things we have done and are able to do made an eternal difference. And if we haven't done that, I don't want to do it anymore. I want to do something else. Because it's too hard.
Yeah.
The hits we take are too great to not be making a difference, you know? I want to thank Gunther the Great for joining me on my channel for this video. And for more content just like this, please subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time I release a new video. We love you guys. We will see you on the other side. Love you so much. God bless you. I want to introduce you to the #1 fastest growing Christian business and ministry event, the Leadership Success Masterclass. This 2-day event is like an MBA in a day. We actually give you over 250 business ideas that will catapult you to the next level. The best strategies of the top organizations, which oddly enough have their roots in biblical principles. And we're going to allow God to give you the wisdom on the how and the what to apply to your specific organization. Whether you are starting out or trying to establish and build, or even if you are established and you're just looking to scale and grow, this masterclass will pay for itself multiple times over. We even have a money back plus guarantee. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Don't waste any more time. Sign up today. I guarantee your success, literally.